Alright, so there we go. I said my good mornings and I'm just talking about some things. Um, so, um, yeah, I'm just, this time around, I'm praying that my channel, actually does very, very, well this time as opposed to last time. And it's because, I've seen a few of my channels go down, and it's like, there's a certain group of individuals that always comes around every time I get to a certain point when I'm doing well on YouTube, that just it doesn't make sense for me for them. It doesn't make sense for them to even come and do that. But then again, when you sit back and you look at it, it's like those people gave up on their goal, which is bigger than where they're at now, and they gave up on it. And I don't know why they gave up on it. Oh, there's now. There's now. Yeah, I mean, I know a certain bit of stuff about Xbox, X-Pac, and Kane. I did like X-Pac as a wrestler. I did like X-Pac as a wrestler. Um, I'm surprised he still doesn't fight. Actually, that was the thing about him. He was such a young, like, he was a young, energetic guy that I feel like even if he would come back today, he would have that same energy today because he could have essentially, if he kept going and did well, he could have essentially been at Shawn Michaels level. That's how good he was. And he just never did it. That man would have been the HBK right after HBK left the WWE. He could have been on that level because he had that same kind of energy where he just had that wildness about him that HBK did. And that's something I don't understand. Is like, why would X-Pac leave the WWF, WWE, just to I don't know what he did. I think he went and pursued a different career, but like it's really weird that such a good wrestler left the WWE. Like I think if he was to come back today, I think he'd get a lot of like I think he'd have a lot of people like cheering him on and all that. That's just how I feel about it. Um I really think he could have like been the next Shawn Michaels. That's how I feel. Like after Shawn Michaels left, he would have been chosen for like the next level Shawn Michaels. Yeah. Yeah, I remember him being 1, 2, 3 kid. It's just his X-Pac's performance really, really sticks out the most because there was something different about that performance that he did. And I guess it was the idea that, like, I guess it was the idea of the time frame he was in, and plus it was the D Generation X. Everybody loved the D Generation X. It would have been cool to see, it would have been cool to see him return. Now, I remember Road Dogg, Jesse James, Badass Billy Gunn, but they didn't stick out to me as much as like Triple H, Shawn Michaels did, or like even X Pac. And they didn't stick out as much as he did for some reason. They all those three stuck out more than Road Dogg, Jesse James, and Badass Billy Gunn. Now, I don't know why I think that, and maybe it's because it was again performance wise, he did a great job at playing that. He did a great job at playing that role. I guess it depends on like who you put into what role, but like his last performance is how I will always remember him. X Pac. Nice. So you go and you create these like little stories within within the wrestling games. Is that what you do? You know what you should do with that? You should create like a little comic book and then record the comic book, give it enough time so people can read the comic book, like a little comic strip leading into like this fight between the two, and then you could have the fight between them. As for why they did what they did, you could just go and create stuff like that. I don't know how good you are at drawing. Yeah, you should create. You should actually create a little comic book to explain why they're fighting and all that. So that way you can actually make the video help the video and why the story is behind what it is. You know, I know you don't like to show yourself, and I know you don't like to like expose your voice, but it would be cool to see something like that. I think that would take the videos to a whole different level, in my opinion. You already have more subscribers than I do, so you that would kind of take your videos to like a next level. So I have to ask, who is Sonic Mario 646? Is that a group you're a part of, or is that you? But I was checking out some of Mario 646, or oh, well, you should collab with him, man. You should see, you should, you should do a thing. Okay, so this is what you should do. I watched some of his stuff, and I know you're a gaming channel, but this is kind of what you should do. You should collect the find a way to get the wrestling figures. All right, and build a little cutscene story before the wrestling matches. I think that would be a great way to like mix your videos up a little bit, because I do that all the time. I sit down and man, I do that all the time. I sit there and I'm like, well, what can I do to make my videos really pop and take off for people? And I have a lot of different ideas, but like that for you really would help. I think that would help you a little bit. Put some put some cinematic movies in with like action figures or like something along the lines of that. I watched a little bit of the other one. I didn't follow his channel because this channel is like huge, and um he has more of a like a little stuffed animal movie going on. I don't know what it's about, but well, no. What you're gonna do is you're gonna explain why the story got to the match is what it is. So, example, let's say Kane and Xbox had a dispute over Trish Stratus back in the day. Let's say Kane and Xbox had one of them. They both like Trish Stratus, okay, and the victor gets the woman. So, like example, Trish Stratus would go to the winner of the match instead of being with the guy she's with, or like, for example, X Pac would have been with like Stacy Keebler, and they something like along the lines of that. And an example, like Stacy Keebler started cheating on X Pac with Kane, and then they have it as like dispute or something like that. Something along the lines of that. Something to build a story up as to why the story gets out of hand. And if the match isn't settled in the first time, and they still go after each other, it can lead to bigger matches, like a Hell in a Cell and stuff like that. Like just some cinematics into your next match. If I was a part of your channel, I would definitely help you, but I don't have that I don't have that capability, and I don't own any wrestling figures. But it's like that's something like I would definitely want to help you with, because that's a lot of work that you'd be putting into it. But that would also help your videos really kind of take off. So all right, sounds good. All right, I'm just, good to hear. Good to hear. I can give you ideas at least. I mean, hopefully you find something. Hopefully you find something that'll work for you. Um, all right, all right. So let's see what's on the old chopping box or the old gaming news today. All right, take it easy. This is getting crazy, man. This is why right now we are the way we are. Okay. This economy really sucks. People are getting laid off left and right from these bigger companies. Luckily, it hasn't happened with the smaller companies, like in the job industry, like where in the regular job industry. And when that day comes, when it gets so bad that they start like, we start going into, you know, we're we're already in a recession right now. What we're seeing is the outcome of what's going on. This should be this is gonna take a little bit of time. So how long? Hold on. How long does a recession last? So what we're gonna do? Okay, according to the National Security Bureau, 6 to 18 months. So we're in a recession right now. We're in a really bad recession. I believe we're 4 months into a really bad recession, and eventually, over the course of time, we are gonna be done with this recession. It just sucks that we're going through it right now, and everybody's getting hit pretty hard when it comes down to it. Um, People are getting laid off nonstop. We're going through phases of something that I can't even explain right now. And oh, I forgot the Nindies going on today. I forgot the Indie Directs going on today. All right. Hold on. Let me see something. Let me see what time this starts. Oh, so it starts at 12 for me. Okay, so I have more than enough time. I'm not gonna be watching that with you guys because I have to get off here by then. But let's get down to business. All right, all right, all right. Amazon cuts more than 180 jobs in the gaming division. Amazon on Monday announced it will cut more than 180 jobs in its Amazon gaming division, shutting down parts of business that focus on streaming and supporting third-party games and putting more of an emphasis on developing its own titles, according to an internal company memo viewed by CNBC, the company will close its game growth and Crown Channel initiative as part of restructuring. Now Amazon will focus on upcoming launches such as Throne and Liberty and Blue Protocol, as well as future initiatives such as Tomb Raider and Lord of the Rings games. Christopher Hartman, Vice President of Amazon Games, wrote in the memo to employees, "I know this is difficult news and that the impact will be felt widely," Hartman wrote. "I felt never it never feels good to say goodbye to colleagues. This isn't a decision that the leadership team came to quickly. It was the result of extensive consideration in the road mapping of our future." Shares of Amazon closed down less than 1% Monday. The latest job cuts at Amazon comes as CEO Andy Jassy has been in cost-cutting mode over the past year as the company has battled higher interest rates and inflation. As a result, Amazon has carried out the largest layoffs in history, cutting 27,000 jobs since last fall. The company also froze corporate hiring, and Jassy has looked to trim expenses and units across the company. I want to say something. If Amazon keeps getting affected like this, we might not see Amazon as a company that sells like things anymore. Unfortunately, Amazon does really good. I like ordering it from Amazon, but the way this is going, the way Amazon keeps getting hit like this, we might not see this go on much longer. Unfortunately, they're taking so many hits that when it comes down to it, you look at it, they might not, I don't know how long they're going to be staying in an industry for selling stuff either, because it just, Amazon should have never went beyond selling things on a website. That was that first step towards them doing great. Now they're so far out that because they're so far out, they're having things like this happen to them, and they need to go back to the beginning of things where they just went back, where they were going back to selling stuff. Because at the end of the day, Amazon is behind a lot of stuff, and one of the ways to cut that down is to literally stop being a part of Kick, or not Kick, but Twitch. Things may change if they would not be a part of Twitch anymore. Twitch itself is, paying people to stream and all that. So that's why I'm like sitting here thinking about this. Well, hearing all this, they should start considering to shut down or like disconnecting themselves from companies that are like not useful to them at all. The movie industry, the video game industry, isn't something I've known Amazon to be behind for all that long. So I don't know. In October, Amazon reported third quarter earnings that suggested its cost cutting has been paying off. The company's revenue rose 13% to $143.1 billion in the third quarter, while net income more than tripled to a $9.9 billion from a $2.9 billion a year earlier. Hartman wrote that after further evaluation of Amazon, the game business, the company decided it needed to focus its effort and resources to deliver great games to players now and in the future, according to the memo. So yeah, Amazon, there's some companies here that really need to revise what they're doing, because some of the stuff they don't even need to be a part of. Like they should give like some of those titles they have for gaming over to like over to companies, particularly like companies that would make it useful. Like Nintendo could take Tomb Raider and just make it their own. They could literally do that, and then Tomb Raider would be a Nintendo only title. And that's where I look at it. Like I've seen that and a couple times. Well, I've seen that recently when I looked at Bayonetta, I think 2 or 1 or something is actually on the Xbox One, and I didn't know that. And I actually recently found that out, and that's like Xenoblade Chronicles, okay? Xenoblade Chronicles actually had one of their games on the PC years ago, if you look it up, and it no longer exists because it didn't do well on those platforms. Now, if you were to take these games that they're mentioning that Amazon is building and making, you could ship them off to Nintendo, and Nintendo would make them their own, and Nintendo just would be like, okay, more games for us to make. But when it comes down to it, nobody wants to give up those titles, and so Amazon's literally firing people because they can't afford to make those games anymore. And when they can't afford to make them, what they're doing is they're losing some of their company due to the fact that they don't want to get rid of something. You know, like I said, Nintendo, if Amazon or whoever, Crystal Dynamics, and whoever is going to have these video games, if you can't handle it, sell it off to a bigger company. That's my suggestion. Instead of taking people's jobs from them and making them struggle, give part of your market to somebody else that's going to help you with it. And this goes for everybody. Everybody out there who is struggling, okay? You really need to find a source of help, okay? If you cannot handle something, don't push people into a place where they need to give something up, all right? And I see this play out in my life too. People forget. People literally forget that sometimes when you can't handle something, what do? You get help. You get help for it. All right? And that's the thing I don't get about people is they prefer letting people leave and getting rid of people instead of just genuinely, like, you know, remaining peaceful and calm, as some people might want to say. We're in an era where, like, people are struggling, ladies and gentlemen. And the worst thing you could do to a person that's struggling is kick them out or, like, fire them from their job because you're struggling. That is the worst thing you could possibly do. And expecting more from a person isn't going to help you either. It's going to make the person want to leave, more than likely. It's going to make the person, walk off. That's just how it goes. You can't keep putting your issues onto somebody else's life, somebody else's plate. That's one thing I did learn. And that's one thing I really would like to talk about on my second channel is, like, learning to take initiative into your problems instead of dropping them on somebody else's plate. It's one of the biggest things that I see a lot of people do to me. And it's something that I think a lot of people should consider taking consideration in that, like, you know, just because you're doing something to try to, you know, it doesn't help the people that you're pretty much doing it to. You know, one day you're gonna have it all, and the next you're not, and it's because of how you handle stuff. Like for me, if I have too much to handle, all right, and people are like, well, why did you do that? Why did you leave that thing? It's because some things are just too much for a person to handle, that you can only go through it for so long, and then you're literally like, okay, bye. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. That's the way things go. Nobody can get mad at somebody for just trying to change life up for them to not deal with that stress of being overwhelmed with stuff. And I'm a firm believer that if you're dealing with too much, you have all the right in the world to, act how you want. You know, don't act like super mean, but I see a lot of people in my own life giving me the most hardest times. And yet we'll have no reasoning behind why they're giving me a hard. Well, they have a reason, but it's like your problems are your own. You reap what you sow. Continuing to do stuff continuing to take problems out on somebody else that isn't theirs. You got yourself an issue. Then you got people You got people literally like not wanting to put up with certain things anymore. And I am at that stage where I'm right there right now. I don't feel like dealing with stuff. I don't feel like dealing with people. And I certainly don't feel like dealing with, you know, people wanting more than me. All right? I do a lot of Sundays. This is just a small part of what I do in the morning. This hour I do for you guys in the morning is a small part of what I do throughout the day. When I get out of here at around when I get out of here, I'll be traveling for 2 hours to go to a job that pays me pretty good. And I travel 2 hours to come home. That to me is a big portion of my life that I lose, all because people are so selfish with money hungry, in fact. And that's why, like, in the next year or so, I might not even be living in this house, solely because I'm trying, and I'm saying that in a good way, because solely I'm trying to find people, I'm trying to find friends, I'm trying to find people, I'm trying to find a way to get into a better place that isn't going to be as hard on me, because I've struggled the past few years way too much. I struggled for at least, I'm on almost 10 years of like struggle, because people just don't want to let their anger issues and their problems subside. They want to get selfish, okay? For anybody to be selfish, that's sad. But hey, if you're seeing the people that don't want to be near you anymore, or don't want to put up with you anymore, and say politely, I can't do this anymore, blah, 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 I'm going to go do something else. That's their way of saying they can't be around you anymore, because you're basically pushing them into the ground every little chance you get, and you don't even realize it. That's a bit of advice for me. Stop pretending that the world revolves around you and start thinking outside of you as a person and how other people feel. Because you might not be realizing that other people feel a certain way, and people want to get away from you because they don't feel good around you. Or even in a situation you're putting them in because you don't like them as a person. That's not a way to be a good person. You're not a good person if you're continuously doing stuff like that as a person. Alright. Hogwarts Legacy port is missing a major feature. The Nintendo Switch version of Hogwarts Legacy is missing a major feature, as it doesn't appear to be fully open world. Hogwarts Legacy was officially released on the Xbox Series X, released on PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC in February 2023, while its PS4 and Xbox One version launched on May 5th. Alright, this game, I'm probably never going to play this. I'm explaining, this article is probably going to show you even more why I probably will never play it, okay? Hogwarts Legacy was also set to release on Nintendo Switch in July 2023, but it was later delayed to November 14th. The development team stated that creating the best possible experience for Hogwarts Legacy was a top priority, before thanking fans for their continued patience. Now, it looks like Switch port of Hogwarts Legacy is missing a key feature. It doesn't seem to offer a full open world gameplay experience. Alright. Switch Up shared a new video that offered a deep look into the technical aspect of Hogwarts Legacy Switch port. The full video highlights the visual quality of the Switch version, in addition to its frame rate, in comparison with other editions of Hogwarts Legacy. Most notably, it confirms that the Switch port of Hogwarts Legacy doesn't offer a fully open world, as fans will consistently come across loading screens while playing through the game. Not only will players encounter a loading screen whenever they want to travel Hogsmeade in Hogwarts Legacy, they also will have to sit through one when trying to enter its various shops. According to the video, Hogwarts Legacy takes 30 to 50 seconds to load this entire space. So gamers will likely spend a ton of time on loading screens when playing through the Switch version of Hogwarts Legacy. While the open world of Hogwarts Legacy was one of the biggest big selling points on the other platforms, these sacrifices were probably necessary for a native Switch release. Hogwarts Legacy received positive reviews when its original came out, as it has a score of 84 on Metacritic. The PS4 and Xbox One editions also seem sold, so it'll be interesting to see how critics and fans react to the Switch port of Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy was also a massive commercial success, as it has sold over 15 million copies as of May 5th, 2023. Fans can still find it in various sale charts months after its original launch earlier in the year. Even though it doesn't offer a full open world experience, this total may increase, but a noteworthy amount with any release of Hogwarts Legacy on a Nintendo Switch. So, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't play this when it came out, and now that it's on the Switch, it's just showing you, it was a game that literally tried to defeat like Tears of the Kingdom. Okay, now for me and every Zelda fan, Tears of the Kingdom is a game about, for me at least, Tears of the Kingdom is a game that shows us about light versus dark. Okay, now I will say this, and this is just me referencing things, okay? Hogwarts Legacy would have never been able to defeat Tears of the Kingdom. Let's be honest. And now we're seeing the movie come out. We're getting ready to see the movie come out in the next couple years. We're seeing Legend of Zelda take the world by storm. And as I'm seeing this take place, and this is a reference back to everything I see going on in real life, I see, and this is just like also like me praying, but I see a lot of light going into the world right now, and the darkness decreasing. I see a lot of light. And what I mean by that is I see people that are doing really, really bad and kind of dark things, having everything just shatter right in front of them, and it just, you can see it happen if you look at certain things and you look at certain people's lifestyles. You look at why things are starting to shatter for them. And if they're doing really, really dark and evil, or like even dark things in general, you're gonna start to see everything just shatter. And that's metaphorically speaking. But we're seeing a lot of bad start to go away. We're seeing a lot of bad, and the light is starting to overpower things. And I believe this year alone, we've seen so many great things happen that we've seen the light overpower the dark. If that reference can be any greater, Legend of Zelda is by far the only game I can say that I will play besides my other ones down here. Xenoblade Chronicles is it's on the same level as Zelda for a reason. Those two games in general are two of the most greatest Nintendo games out there. I mean, and they're both stories about how light defeats the darkness, okay? And those are great metaphors back to, like, the Bible and all that. Now, I'm not saying Zelda games are the Bible or anything like that. But I'm saying if you stand there and look at it, you can see the reference towards the Bible. You can see how, like, light is defeating dark and Link is defeating Ganon. Ganon is considered as, like, Demon King Ganon is what his real name is. So when you sit there and you look at it, you see a hero of light defeating the dark hero. I mean, defeating the darkness of something so bad that it's taken over all of Hyrule. And once you go back and you defeat it, you see the light just, and it clears out all of Hyrule. All right. And I'm not giving away an ending, But I'm just saying, like, the light is starting to become greater than the darkness again. We are starting to see where, if we go back in time, we go back to a period where things are starting to overpower. Like, I've seen things recently where I'm like, wow, that actually freaking happened. And I'm just like, wow, I can't believe that happened and stuff like that. So we're seeing things go as they are. We're seeing things go as they are. So, all right. Do I want to read what games are being lost? No, I'm not gonna read. I'm not gonna read that. Like, we read that all the time. Now, this is something I'll read. So, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate losing unexpected game soon. Electronic Arts Rocket Arena will be exiting both Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and EA Play soon. The 3v3 multiplayer shooter has been out since 2020 on the PC and other major gaming platforms, and it performed well during its initial release. Rocket Arena has also received positive reviews. While it had amassed an okay player base when it comes out, the numbers have dwindled, which many believe could be part of the reason for its imminent removal. It's quite a common occurrence to see games leave Xbox Game Pass. The nature of the service rotates many titles so that players can get a fresh experience. However, there are some older titles that have become a staple of the subscription in that they also always have been available for the longest time. What's more surprising is that services such as EA Play and Ubisoft normally keep older titles from their library available for play for regular subscribers. True Achievements reported that Rocket Arena will be leaving both Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and EA Play. EA's website confirms that Rocket Arena will be leaving the playlist on November 14th, 2023, the same date when it also leaves Game Pass Ultimate. There has been no statement as to why the game will be removed from both services, although some users from the comment section assume that a server closure is in the game's future. It has been 2 full years since the developers updated the titles with Season 4's introduction to 2021. Most people think that the shutdown is inevitable. During its release, many fans had high hopes for the game, with some players declaring Rocket Arena potential to be the next great multiplayer shooter. Most gamers' initial reception was that it felt like a mix of Overwatch and Super Smash Bros. Granted, while comparison were present, a lot of factors determine a game's success, including the accessibility and concurrent player count. Not to mention, with games such as Valorant, Overwatch 2, and other highly dominating the multiplayer shooter scene, it is an over-structured genre that has a lot of competition going on. Still, even as the game will be leaving Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and EA Play, it will still be available for purchase, so players can still grind the achievements should they be interested in adding a few points, unlike other shooters such as Halo, which have achievements that take a long time to accomplish. Rocket Arena achievements are said to be doable within a 60-second to 80-hour playtime if gamers have the time to spare. Hopefully the server closure is just rumor so that fans can still enjoy the title at their own leisure. Um, yeah. I don't know anything about this game, but like I just like Rocket Arena. What the hell was that game? Rocket League was what I was thinking when I read that at first. Because I remember back in the day when Rocket League first came out, my friends were all on that game, and I didn't like that game. I actually didn't care for it. I've tried playing it, and a lot of people that played it, like they really enjoyed it. But it wasn't a game I enjoyed. Like for me, an enjoyable game is something like Tetris, where it puts you out there and you're not particularly aiming at somebody, but you're aiming at somebody to defeat them, if that makes any sense. It's just a random, like, somebody randomly hitting you is what it is. Alright, so, and then you got, I'm trying to think. And then you got the, I don't know where I was going with this. Alright. So I heard about this. I don't know how I feel about this one. They are really going in a path that I'm just confused. Like their attempts at doing something new every time just amaze me. And Tomb Raider isn't bad. Tomb Raider's not bad. And this is just an attempt to reach a new group of people. You know, they will never, I don't ever see these guys touching a Nintendo product, and that's why I probably will never go back to them. Because unless you're going to go out of your way and ask Nintendo, hey, can we make a Legend of Zelda format of Magic the Gathering? You know, I wish they would do something like that, because then that would lead me to just collect all the cards as a Legend of Zelda fan, but like, I probably wouldn't get back into playing the game. I would just probably collect the cards, because Magic the Gathering have really cool designs on their cards, and I'm not into like the whole like, well, I'm not into the whole like playing the game myself. As for like playing the game myself, you would really have to put something in there that'd be like, okay, this is them reaching out to somebody like me. But Tomb Raider is gonna reach out to somebody that, you know, well, you know, it's gonna reach out to a lot of people, and will a lot of people play it? I don't know, but we're seeing this one take place, and I don't know how I even feel about this. So, all right, Tomb Raider is crossing over with Magic the Gathering. So, Tomb Raider has announced a new crossover with Magic the Gathering in the form of 7 cards to be released on November 20th. Magic the Gathering is one of the most famous tabletop games in the world, and this time it is teaming up with Tomb Raider, a beloved game franchise. Magic the Gathering is no stranger to famous collaborations thanks to the Secret Lair series, which released small collectible set dropped because of Secret Lair. Magic the Gathering players saw the release of Street Fighter cards last year. I didn't know that. Featuring characters from Capcom franchise such as Ken, Ryu, Chun-Li. This Secret Lair also brought big news for players such as Unexpected Magic the Gathering X Dungeon and Dragons crossover. The number of franchises that have appeared in Magic the Gathering is increasing, as new announcements is bringing an exciting collaboration. Magic the Gathering and Tomb Raider have teamed up in a new crossover that will have 7 cards on release 7 cards on November 20th via Secret Lair website. The cards revealed by IGN include the new Lara Croft Tomb Raider, along with the Lost Valley, the Grim Whisper, Totek Spear, Keith's Sunken City, Treasure, and Storm Yamamata. which is Laura's Destination 2013's Tomb Raider. That's weird because I have that game back there, and I don't know why they decided to like. That's just extremely weird. I have that. Like I that happens to me a lot. Okay, that happens to me a hell of a lot. These weird coincidences where I'll buy something and it's solely based upon something I see somebody else do or something I want to try to get into, and then we turn around and see this. Now, that's weird that that happens to me quite a bit. All right, I don't know why. I have no clue as to why they would bring out something like this based upon something I just did. I don't know. This is it gets weird sometimes. I will say that. I you know, I sometimes don't know why I do things how I do them. I just do them because I'm like, okay, cool. That looks like it might be something I might want to do. But for some reason, every time I do something like this, it's a weird coincidence. Really weird coincidence. And maybe that is God's way of saying, "Hey, you know what? Like you're being paid attention to, stuff like that." That is why I say pray to God, and things like that. So, all right. So let's get back into this. Magic Gathering Tomb Raider have teamed up in a new crossover that will release 7 cards on November 20th via a Secret Lair website. The cards revealed by IGN include the new Lara Croft Tomb Raider along with the Lost Valley, the Grim... Okay, so we already read that. Tomb Raider cards show Lara in her adventure and expect for the protagonist card. They are all reprints of existing Magic the Gathering cards. The Tomb Raider set is a part of a Secret Versary sub-drop and will be accompanied by a range of Secret Lair products yet to be announced. Alright, so these are the 7 cards right here, which, it'd be cool to just get these 7 cards. Like, I don't play Magic Gathering, but if I was a fan of something and saw this, like, let's just say Legend of Zelda came out with a card set that was like 10 cards. I would specifically go and try to get that set of cards, because I don't want the rest of the cards. I just want these cards right here. And what would be even more cooler is if you sold these cards in a pack by themselves, all 7 of these, and then you have those alone. I think I would hope that's what they do, but who knows? All right, so one of the highlights of okay, so these are the names of the cards and the release date. One of the highlights of the Tomb Raider set is Lara Croft card. The artwork shows Lara carrying a torch and pickaxe, leaving aside the twin pistols from Tomb Raider pre-reboot era. For 3 mana, this card allows players to exile artifacts and a legendary land from the graveyard while Lara attacks. What makes it unique is that Lara can exile cards from the graveyard for both players who own it and their own opponent. Another noteworthy card is the Lost Valley, a double-sided card whose other side is called Heart of Explorer. As for Tomb Raider fans are waiting to find out what Lara Croft's next adventure will be after 2018's Shadow of the Tomb Raider. While a new game hasn't been announced, Lara continues to appear in other franchises, such as Call of Duty. In addition, fans are waiting for the new Tomb Raider anime, which will be released next year on Netflix. So, I don't know. I'm not like a Tomb Raider fan or anything, but I do appreciate the aspect of what Tomb Raider is, because it does remind me a lot of like what Legend of Zelda is all about, where even if Link is searching for a princess, he's still going out into the world and exploring things, like sort of like how Tomb Raider is. And that's why I've always had even though I never played Tomb Raider, I still have an appreciation for the game, because we don't see that too much these days. I can honestly say that I have more respect for Tomb Raider and Lara Croft than I do Horizon Horizon Forbidden West, Horizon Zero Dawn. I have more respect for Tomb Raider and Legend of Zelda, and actually Metroid Prime is another one. That's up that alley, by the way. I have more respect for those three titles than I do anything else, okay? Halo wasn't the same, and that's why I didn't say Halo in this, but like, you can take Metroid Prime, or Metroid in general. If you take Metroid Prime now, Metroid Prime was the one game that allowed you to do more exploration. You were on a planet, and just you had a lot of exploration in you. Legend of Zelda though is higher up on a scale for me because it had that same exploration aspect as Tomb Raider does, and that's why I will always have high respects for this game and Legend of Zelda. So we got like 9 minutes, so I'm gonna find something else to read, and then I didn't do much today. I didn't do too much reading today. I read like 2 articles, I think, so far. Nintendo has the most nominees at the Game Awards for 2023. So I looked over the 6 Game of the Year awards, okay? But I want to see what they're saying. Just announced today the nominees for the Game of the Award. When was this article released? 18 hours ago. All right. Just announced today the nominees for the Game Awards 2023 include a slew of popular studio franchises, and Nintendo is leading the awards list with the most nominations, while fans have already started debating snubs at the Game Award. Debating at the snubs at the Game Award, audience are happy to see Nintendo included in multiple categories. A household name, Nintendo is a Japanese video game company and one of the largest global brands. The company is known for a staple first-party franchises like Super Mario Bros. And Legend of Zelda, as well as Pokemon, Animal Crossing, and more. 2 of the company's biggest titles launched this year, performing well commercially and critically, and have been included among the top nominees at the Game of the Year or the Game Awards. Video game journalist and television presenter, I don't know, Jeff Keighley announced the full list of nominees for the Game Award 2023 during a live stream earlier today, with Nintendo boasting a total of 15 nominations. 6 different Nintendo properties were nominated across 9 categories, led by Super Mario Bros. Wonder and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which each received 5 nominees. For other Nintendo properties that received recognition were Pikmin 4, Advance Wars 1-2 Reboot Camp, and Fire Emblem Engage. The Super Mario Bros. Movie rounds out the first list of Nintendo nominees, replacing placing the Japanese company at the top spot among publisher. PlayStation and Xbox followed close behind with 13 to 10 nominations respectively. All Nintendo nominees in their categories at the 2023. So we got Game of the Year, Best Direction, Best Multiplayer, Best Art Direction, Best Family Game, Game of the Year, Best Direction, Best Art Direction, Best Score in Music, Best Action Adventure Game. So I can already say that reading through these, we're gonna see probably this one take the art direction. This one will probably take Best Game Direction. I don't know about Game of the Year because it just really seems like they're pushing for Baldur's Gate to win that. It's going to get Best Score and Best Action Adventure. Alright, Pikmin 4 Family Game, Best Sim Strategy Game. Alright, Best Strategy, same, and Best Adaptation. So I have a feeling that's going to get for Best Adaptation, okay? Players have already begun discussing the various nominations with many expecting Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom to be the front runner against Baldur's Gate 3 for a Game of the Year as expected. Multiplayer Nintendo titles were highlighted in the Best Family Game category. Fans were pleasantly surprised to see 3 Nintendo games nominated for Best Sim Strategy Game, with Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp earning particular celebration from its audience. Pikmin 4 and Fire Emblem Engage were also noted by many as welcome additions to strong list of nominees. Every year, gamers look forward to the nominations at the Game Awards, though there is always debate whether certain games were overlooked or overhyped. Players often wonder whether popularity, sales, or critical reception are the driving factors behind the nominations, with many feeling a combination of these games and other elements produced the final lineups. Voting is now open for the Game Award 2023. An interested fan will want to stay tuned for updates and nominees and eventual winners. Is this not loading? So yeah, I'm expecting Nintendo to take home some awards. I just don't know how many awards they're going to be taking. All right, so I think I'm going to stop there because it's 57, and I'll just talk. I know I didn't read much today, and it's fine, but I'll just talk about some things. So, I expect Nintendo to take home a couple awards. I don't know how many awards they're going to be taking home, but I know they're not going to win every single category they're in. I do feel like Legend of Zelda is going to get the best score. Legend of Zelda always gets the best score. It always gets, a spot that, really, really just... I think, if it wasn't for Baldur's Gate, I think Zelda would take the cake, unfortunately. Because a lot of people want to see Baldur's Gate win, and it seems like Baldur's Gate is going to be the Game of the Year this year. Unfortunately, that's just how it goes. And, normally we see Zelda take Game of the Year, like Spawnwave said. But I don't think this year we will. I think this year is going to be a little bit different. And that's fine with me. Zelda's still going to be one of my favorite games, regardless of what happens to it. I'm not going to be disappointed, but I know for a fact that this is all just opinions based upon, I really think there should have been a different way to narrow this down. Because I think there would have been some other titles selected for the Game of the Year, the top 6. All right. And I gave my take on the Game of the Year in the top 6 for it. I think there could have been other titles in there. Unfortunately, I think Lies of P and, for me, Starfield should have been in there. That's just my take, my opinion. I'm not arguing with anybody who begs to differ. But that's just my opinion on it, because Starfield got a lot of people. It got a lot of people's attention, whether they were mad or happy at it. It got a lot of people's attention. And that, to me, was very deserving of Game of the Year. And, I know Baldur's Gate would have still been in that selection, but I think the outcome would have been a lot different. I think what should have been done is these video games awards should be like, okay, we're going to create a category that allows you, the viewers, you, the people, select what games you think deserve to be in the top 6, okay? And then on their end, on the website or whatever they're looking at, it would come out with percentage ratings. All right, and then it would narrow it down to the top 6. All right, and then what would happen there is people would go back and reselect the Game of the Year out of those top 6. But that's just my thoughts and my opinions on it. And the other thing I want to say before I go, because it is 12 o'clock and I gotta watch because I gotta jet off to work at like around 1 around 1 o'clock today. The Magic the Gathering Tomb Raider game is an attempt for them to sell cards to people that don't play the game. Unfortunately, that's what that is, an attempt at. Alright? I'm not against it, but I will say that, I'm not a Tomb Raider fan by any means, and I have an appreciation and respect for the game, but like I said, you know, when I see stuff like that happen, it just leaves me to question, well, what is the motives behind what you're doing here? Because it looks like they're trying to get people to play the game. As for me, like I said, if they were to come out with the Legend of Zelda set, I would go out and try to find a way to get those 7 cards, buy them all, and then have them part of my collection. And I don't know how difficult that would be. But yeah, that's about it, guys. I'm out of here. Take it easy and have a wonderful day and keep gaming.